as yourself. I do believe in a saying that evil triumphs when good men do nothing. And that's what we do. We choose to do nothing. I know there's a lot of Christians out here. I know there's a lot of Christians sitting in their seats everywhere. But they're comfortable sitting in their seats. They're comfortable watching things happen. They're comfortable watching other people make things happen rather than getting up and making things happen for themselves. You know, God can save that marriage. God can go ahead and He can break that drug addiction that your son or your daughter is in. God can deliver your son or your daughter who is engaged, who is bound to drugs, who is hanging out in the wrong crowd. I did a little bit of that stuff myself. But you know what? I have parents that fear God. They continue to pray for me and did not give up on me. And that's just what we have to do for our youth. We cannot give up on our children. And it starts with each and every single one of you. When you start to say yes to God and you say no to your sin. When you bow the knee to sin, when you bow the knee to Baal, when you bow the knee to man and choose to fear man more than God, this is what's going to happen. Violence is going to happen. Our young men are going to continue to get locked in prison. We got to put a sickle to the cycle of foolishness that's going on in our community. We admire all the pioneers who went before us. They went before us and paved the way. Some of them gave their lives for our freedom today, and we take advantage of that. Because we do not fear man. We do not fear God. We fear man. We look to man for wisdom. We look to man to solve our problems. And then when things go bad, we continue to point the finger to the white man and say, you know what? It's the white man's fault. And then we deny the one who saved us, calling him, he's the white man's God, because we continue to dwell and meditate on our circumstances and on our problems. That's what the Israelites did when they came out of slavery, out of Egypt. They said things were better when we were in Egypt. Ever since we came into the wilderness, things got bad for us. Even though they were miraculously fed every night. Every day, food and water. Their feet did not swell up at all. They were kept healthy miraculously. Didn't see a single doctor for all those times they were walking in the wilderness. And yet they continue to blame God. They continue to complain, walking on.
Yep.
One gospel track can turn a life around. And this is exactly how we treat it.
Walk on the gospel tracks.
We just go along with the crowd.
It's the situation in Chicago. They hate God. That's the problem. Preachers get out and preach.
Pick one of them up and read it
fear
for
not
yourself.
God.
God says, if you're willing and obedient, you will eat the best of the land. God made promises in His Word.
It don't matter if they got so many churches. They throw it on the ground anyway.
He's not obligated to bless a nation and fulfill His promises.
Hundreds of churches on the south side. Look what they do with God's message. On the ground.
He's not obligated to bless a nation that murders their children by abortion. He's not obligated to bless a nation that tells God to get out. And we would just accept the LGBT agenda. And that same-sex marriage is illegal right here in America. We have black leaders. Now, even a president of the United States, and look at your communities. And yet we still cannot wake up.
Sad, brother.
That's why I said, God said, turn to me and live.
Yeah.
Turn to me and live. It was a constant thing repeated by the prophets of old. They called their people to repent. They called their leaders, the kings of their times, to repent. God raised up people who had a heart for seeing the Israelites turn back to God. People like Nehemiah, people like Isaiah, people like Jeremiah, who could not stop weeping for what he saw happening in his own nation. And he saw the judgment of God come upon his own nation. And he himself was taken into captivity.